I'll go ahead and go. My team of the week is going to be Creighton. They went 2-0 with a win over Providence. They also beat Georgetown. The week before, they went 0-2, and they were getting a lot of criticism for the way they were playing, and a lot of people didn't think they were going to go out there and be able to win two in a row. As players, it can be hard to look at a Big East schedule and get down early in Big East conference play. That's a tough conference to win games in. And they went out there, they proved themselves in two big games. Again, Providence dealing with a big injury probably helped with Creighton there, but they handled business. I'm impressed. I expect Creighton to continue to build off of this and be back in the top 25 this next week.
Yeah, my team of the week should not come as a surprise to anybody. I mean, it's hard for it. I didn't watch every single game this week. Most of what I watched was Auburn. I'm giving it to Auburn. They took down a solid Penn team. They are an Ivy League team, but they're a good one. They took out Villanova earlier in the year. That's a good team. Auburn beat them handily. They didn't cover to TP's dismay, but they still won by 20. They just barely missed the spread. And then they went into Fayetteville and handed Arkansas their worst loss in the history of Bud Walton Arena. Like it's a super impressive performance, one that I didn't expect. I remember talking to Brett about the spread of the Auburn Arkansas game, and I said I could very well see Auburn losing this game pretty handily because it's home court advantage means a lot in college basketball, and going in to a road environment like Arkansas, like what Arkansas has, and beating them like that, it's astounding. That does not happen very often, and it's going to be a long time before we see that happen again in Arkansas, in my opinion, especially with how good of a coach Eric Musselman is.
I was ready to throw Auburn in my parlay for Saturday, and I asked Payne about it. He was non-committal, so it didn't happen. I'm disappointed on that one.
All right, my team of the week, out of the Big 12, one of the bigger surprises of the year in the best conference, the Cincinnati Bearcats. They went into Provo and defeated BYU handily by 11 points. And this game was definitely a surprise. They hadn't beaten anybody this year. They lost their two biggest tests of the year against their crosstown rivals, Xavier and Dayton. But Cincinnati is quietly putting together one of the best seasons so far in the Big 12. They have a few big tests coming up against Texas and Baylor, but they're 11-0 in quad 3 and 4. They probably won't have any more quad 3 and 4 games in the Big 12 unless they play West Virginia, which they do. They play West Virginia at home, so they might have a quad 3 game there. But Wes Miller has put together a really good squad, and BYU may not be all that this year, but Cincinnati with a surprising win. And they're really putting together a solid year so far. And I guess we'll see if Cincinnati's a legitimate threat in the Big 12. If they could maybe put together a good year and make the NCAA tournament, that would be a tremendous success for Cincinnati.
Well, all right. I think you got something to say, Brett?
Well, I got my team of the week still, yeah.
I was about to say you got your team of the week, so go ahead.
Yeah. So this week's performance might have flown under the radar for a few people, and I've mentioned it before that this pains me to say because I really don't like them, but I got to go with Arizona. They suffered a tough loss to Stanford last week. Stanford was shooting unbelievable lights out, so you know there's only so much you can do about that. But they did what I think championship teams do, which is they came back with a fire and they handed Colorado, I think, the worst loss they've experienced in Tad Boyle's tenure, which is saying a lot. A 47-point loss is absolutely ridiculous. They looked unbelievable, made Colorado look horrible, and then they took care of business against Utah too. I think it's a real mark of a championship caliber team that you handle adversity that way and you can control and you come back out like that. So I was really impressed by that. Not only that they won this week because they were supposed to, but the way they did it. And if I were placing a futures bet right now on someone to win the title, it'd be Arizona.
Good deal, I think we covered a lot here. I think the AP poll, tomorrow we'll know around noon, around lunchtime, about how the writers feel about these teams. You could go back and forth with the poll. I don't think anything drastic will really change. So I think Auburn's probably going to make their way to the 20s, maybe the high teens. But that's going to be interesting because there were a lot of those teams in that ballpark who did lose. So, but besides that, gentlemen, I think that's a wrap. If anyone has any closing remarks before we end this first edition of the show, please do so now.
This may not mean much to many people, but on the AP poll tomorrow, look for Houston to jump KU at the 2-3 spot. Houston won convincingly this week. KU barely escaped, and I think most people know that they got bailed out by the refs to do that. So look for that. But overall, fun talking to you guys, and let's go watch some more college basketball.
Let's do it. Utah State's going to be ranked tomorrow, too. Go Aggies.
I'll go ahead and say I'm interested to see how the AP poll treats the two undefeated teams that just lost in Ole Miss and James Madison. Neither one of them have necessarily a big win. So I think it'll be interesting to see if they both fall out. Will James Madison stay in? So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, and I'm just looking forward to our next edition of the show. So we, Auburn versus A&M and Creighton versus DePaul on Tuesday. Those should be some fun matchups. Courtesy of Payne there. He's having a little bit of mic troubles right now. But I'm just excited for the next edition of this show. So until then, I'm TP Hammock, joined here by Jackson Harris, Brett Riemann, Payne Golden, and Nick Sutton signing off. We'll see you next time.